In this edition of In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, we catch up with offensive coordinator Brian Callahan. Always an engaging, outstanding guest. And boy, did not disappoint this time as well. He's just phenomenal. Great football mind. We talk about what it's going to take to run it back. That's what everybody's talking about now is run it back, run it back. Not going to be easy to get back to the Super Bowl. Not going to be easy to win the conference. Not going to be easy to win the division. The AFC is loaded. It's stacked. But this football team has a lot of young star players, and a good number of them are on the offensive side of the football, being coached by Brian Callahan and his offensive coaching staff. Of course, Zach Taylor, the head coach, heavily involved in the offensive side of the football as well. It's very, very encouraging what the Cincinnati Bengals have at key positions. And Brian Callahan talks about that. Talks about the 2021 season, 2022 expectations. A lot of good things coming from the brain of offensive coordinator Brian Callahan. Welcome once again to In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. As always, coming to you from our outstanding studios. And what an outstanding guest we have today. Real good friend of the podcast. I mean, this guy is just amazing. No other way to describe him. Offensive coordinator Brian Callahan of the Cincinnati Bengals. And coach, literally, you guys just finished that final workout. I mean, what was the message to the guys as you send them off for close to a 6-week break, I guess, before training camp starts?
The message was pretty clear that you come back ready to go. You know, I think our guys put in a great amount of time this offseason. It wasn't as long as normal, which I think they appreciated. We got a lot of good work in. We had great attendance. And so now they get a chance to get away for a minute. But I think Zach said it before that the time for vacation is in early in the offseason. It's in March and April. And we're getting ready to go. We're trying to go 17 games and go try to get back to the Super Bowl. And when we show up here in 6 weeks, this is not a forget about football time. It's get away for a few days and get your body ready, get your mind ready to go grind it out during the season. It's an important time of year.
Yeah, Joe Burrow the other day at the presser, I asked him, what are you going to do in this 6-week time frame? You going to get away from football totally? Going to do this? No, I'm locked in. It's time. It's football time now. There's no getting away from it. I never do really actually get away from it. And, he challenges himself on a daily basis, doesn't he?
That's what makes him great. I think you're starting to see some elements of a veteran leader start to come out, a guy that's been around a little bit, even though it's only his, third season.
Right.
He's starting to act like a guy that's played for 10 years. And now that he's got some success to back him up, I think that you're only going to see more of that. He's only going to take more control and more command. And he knows how important this time of year is, and he knows what it takes I think what's best is our whole team knows what it takes now. They've been there.
Right.
The guys that we brought in have been there. And so they're ready to roll, and they know how important it is to be focused over this time period and come back to training camp with the right mindset and in shape and ready for the grind. Because as we all know, it's a long run from end of July to late in early February, which is the idea.
Yeah, no question. And you make a great point. I mean, Joe won a national championship. Now he goes to the Super Bowl in his second year as a starting quarterback in the National Football League. You get some veteran free agent offensive linemen that have won Super Bowls with Tom Brady, with the Patriots and with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, you do have guys on the offensive side of the football that have firsthand experience. It's not just what's it like. They can tell people. I mean, they've been there, done that. That's pretty big, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you spend a lot of your time as a coach trying to impart on those guys what it means and what it takes to get there. If you've been fortunate to have the experience, which I've been twice prior to this past season, and so you try to tell them what it means and what it feels like, and we didn't get it all the way done to the degree that we wanted to, but there's no replacing that feeling. I think at one point, maybe a year ago or maybe 2 years ago, I told the guys in the room that whatever you think it is when you win that game, it's 100 times better. And whatever work that's required of it, if you knew what that felt like, you would do anything and everything to go to feel it. Like there is no other way to explain it. But once you've been there, you understand. Once you taste it, you know what it takes. But you also know how hard it is. And for our guys to go on a road at Tennessee, at Kansas City, to go win those games and gain those pelts on the wall, if you will, that's a big deal. And that they know what it takes. They know what it takes to get there. And that's why you see teams that in all sports that have championship experience raise their level when championship expectations are on the line. And I think that's what our team has now that they didn't have before. Now we know what it takes to go get it.
Now that you've had a good bit of time to sit back and reflect and analyze and diagnose and all that, what did you do best offensively in 2021, do you think, Coach?
Well, we were clearly the best explosive passing team in the league. A large part of that's Jamar. Another large part of that's Joe and his evolution of his game from year one to year two. But yeah, I mean, we were in the passing game explosive as you could be. We had, top level quarterback play as far as the intermediate passing game goes and accuracy goes. Those things were really a big part of what we did well. I thought we ran the ball well in spots. Joe Mixon still finished third in the league in rushing, so we had to be doing something that was good enough there. But I think there's more to be gained in that spot. But I think our passing game was clearly the best thing we were doing on offense last year. But the explosiveness was remarkable. That's a hard thing to repeat. You get that kind of explosiveness every year. It's difficult to repeat that, but I think our guys are up to the challenge. But that was, our yards per completion, yards per attempt were first in the league. So that's a big stat. That's one that you want to have at the end of the year. We went from 32nd to first.
Wow.
From 2020 to 2021.
Meteoric rise. That's unbelievable. So on the flip side of it, after you took a look at everything, what is it that you need to do better in 2022 from 2021?
I think everybody knows that the sack number is too high. There's been a lot of conversation around that and what's a good sack and what's a bad sack. I know Joe's expressed that publicly, and we've talked about those things privately as well, and on when it's okay to take a sack and try to extend a play, and when we'd like to lessen that number. Obviously, don't want Joe to get hit as much as he has.
Right.
That's a big part. I mean, we want to keep him on his feet as long as possible, and we went about free agency up front trying to fix that, and I think we're going to have a much better unit up front than we did a year ago. It's year two with Frank. And we've added a bunch of really, I think, good players, both draft and free agency. So I'm excited about that group. One of the other things that we probably need to do a much better job of is, our short yardage was a glaring deficiency for us. Yeah. I mean, I think we were 25th in the league, but we had the 5th most attempts. And so that means we were efficient on first and second down. We were manageable third downs, and it led to some drives that stalled on us that we'd like to have. You get 2-3 more of those drives a game because you convert a third and 1 or a 4th and 1, and now you're scoring 7 to 10 more points, and you're having 2 or 3 more drives per game, and I think that's important. So, the efficiency level, if you're 5th in attempts and 25th in conversion rate, that's not very good. I'm not a math major, but those numbers don't add up.
Right.
So we'd like to be better in those spots. We were good in third down in general, but the manageable third downs that you got to convert, we had to do a better job. And hopefully that allows us to have some more sustained drive success, instead of just relying on explosive plays, which, trust me, I got no problem relying on explosive plays. But there was times when we needed to be a little more efficient, and we weren't. And so that's been a point of emphasis for us this offseason as well. That comes with scheme, that comes with talent, that comes with a lot of things. But short yardage certainly is a point of emphasis. And then the last one would be the red zone. We started out hot. I think we were at the bye week, we're one of the top teams. And then by the end of the year, we finished about 19th. And, there's 2 or 3 possessions down there that'll ruin your red zone ranking. That Jets possession where we got no points. The couple possessions there against the Cleveland interception on the 1 yard line for 6 the other way. You score on those 2 drives, and now we're probably sitting around 10th. So
right.
It's not a dramatic difference, but it's definitely one that we need some improvement on. Need more points on the board.
Yeah, the short yardage stuff. I mean, you look at it, you got to figure, like you said, so explosive. Team's going to play a lot of shell, a lot of cover 2, and make you, check it down and all those sort of things. So you probably will face some opportunities in the short yardage area, and then the compressed field, the red zone, same type of situation. Yeah.
So those are, we anticipate some coverage structure changes as teams probably study us over the course of their offseason. They study our whole season, and Jamar is going to garner a lot of attention.
Right.
T should garner plenty of attention as well. They're both dynamic players. So there's going to be a point in time where we may have to be a little more efficient and go 10, 12 plays when necessary. You have to be able to do both things when the time requires it, and I think that's an area we could be better at.
You're right, though. Joe Mixon, I mean, as a former lineman, I look at that guy and I say, look, it's up to us to make sure that Joe Mixon is allowed to make his first cut past the line of scrimmage. I mean, get him a couple 3 yards past the line of scrimmage. We don't want him making his first cut at the line of scrimmage or in his own backfield, because the guy is so talented, man. If you can get him going with a little bit of a head of steam, I mean, that's a snootful now. I mean, that would be a big goal, is to get Joe past the line of scrimmage at a high, almost 100% if you can, really.
Yeah. I think what's unique about Joe is, even as we had our struggles up front last year, is that, he still rushed for 1,200 yards. And he does take a bulkhead of our carries. That's part of it. But, I think he was also in the top 3 in the league in yards after contact, which is telling you, like you said, we probably didn't do as good a job of getting him his first cut before people were on top of him. And he still managed to have the production that he did. So I'm really excited about what Joe brings with the new group of guys we have up front. And he's one of the guys that every defensive coach we talk to after we play him, that he's one of the guys that they don't like to play against, because he's a tough out. He's hard to tackle. He's big and fast. He presents problems for people, and they worry about him. And he's earned that right. And hopefully we can get him up to 1,500 yards this year, and maybe more than that. And that would make our drives a lot easier, I think, make the life of the quarterback a lot easier as well.
No doubt. That play action passing game would be sweet at that point in time. There's no question about that. So when you're game planning, you're trying to attack the opposing defense's weaknesses and neutralize their strengths. How much discussion goes on between you and Lou with respect to what he's dealing with from the opposition's offense, the strengths that he's dealing with, and does it affect how you structure your game plan, or am I getting too far into the weeds here? Because you can always, calls can be adjusted by how the flow of the game's going, what they're doing well and what they're not. But when you're actually game planning early in the week, how much of that is a consideration?
It's part of the process. It's Zach worries a little more about how the game plan fits through all 3 phases.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a style of play for every game, and some games you want to play more complementary because you're playing a team that has Patrick Mahomes back there. You're playing against a defense that's going to, or an opposing offense that can score a lot of points. So what does that mean for us? Do we try to sit on the ball when we can, or do we try to? Are we going to make it a track meet, or what's the philosophy of that week? And so that's definitely a part of it. We always want to know what the other side of the ball is dealing with, and how we format our game plan, and more game strategy than maybe necessarily game plan. Like, what's the strategy of how we're going to complement each other in this game? Because that does matter. It does matter. There's definitely conversations that go on over the course of the week on how we're going to play the game in relation to the other side of the ball.
I really respect what you guys accomplished last year, putting together the game plans too, because it's so much harder to game plan when you're trying to figure out ways to help fortify a flaw or hide a weakness or that type of thing. And instead of, just game planning and you said, and I agree, the offensive line was a reason that this team did as well as it did, but there were some issues there, and when you're always trying to fortify it or hide something or whatever, man, that makes it so much more difficult to game plan. You guys overcame that so well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's our job as coaches, is to find the things that we do well and highlight them, and know what our weaknesses are, and protect them. And whether it's we're facing a really good rush team one week and we know our guys are going to have their hands full, how do we help them? Maybe it's we're playing a really good secondary. And in years past, before obviously Jamar got here and T got here, it was how do we get guys open? How are we going to find ways to get Auden Tate and Alex Erickson and those guys that have been good players for us, but we're playing a lot of football. How do we help them get open? They're not Jamar and T. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so those things I think come up all the time. And you're always going to have weaknesses. You're going to have things you're not as good at. You might have a deficiency occasionally at a position, but that's our job. And then injuries happen as well. So every week we go into a game plan trying to figure out what we can do to highlight strengths, put guys in the best position to have success, to win matchups, and then when we don't think we can win that matchup, how do we help them? And that's one of the things that we will always, first and foremost, the first thing I do before we get ready for any game is look at what kind of pressure package we have and what kind of defensive line we're facing. Those are the two most important things that we want to make sure the quarterback is protected. And how do we best do that? And then we kind of work from there. If we can find ways to help on these edge rushers that are littered across the AFC now, and these interior rushers that just seem to get bigger and better every year, we got to find ways to help. They're tough one-on-one matchups to win. So when we can help guys, that's our job as coaches, is to put guys in position to get the help and who to help.
At First Star Logistics, we're a very strict company that really puts the pressure on our employees. Breaks? What are those?
That's what I'm talking about, Icky. Get the body right, then the mind's right.
Got to get that body right.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Become a star with a chance to earn the highest commission percentages in the industry as a freight broker agent. Check out firststarlogistics.com.